Hey, what's going on YouTube? Jake, Fantasy Headliners, back at you again with another mock draft. Had some comments left here on that last video saying, hey, we want to see a larger mock draft for some more teams, maybe picking from the one of the end positions, maybe even throw in an extra flex. So we're going to do it. Right now I got it all set up here through the Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard. If you haven't checked it out, by all means do so. I'll have it linked down in the description. Great way to mock, and you can mock a lot. So got it all set up here for the 2018 season. We're going to be doing a full-point PPR league, snake-style draft. Got 12 teams total, and we're going to be picking from the 11th position. I did add in an extra flex here, so we got the 2 under the wide receiver, running back, and tight end. This will allow us to have to go a little bit deeper into some of these player pools and see what we get. Let's go ahead and get started with it. Those of you who haven't used this, I'll run through it real quick. You got your drafted roster there on the right, the available players and the suggested players right here in the middle. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see who has already been drafted in the order that they were taken. Down below, you can actually get to all the players available. I always hide the drafted players because I don't care if they're no longer there available for me. And there we go. We're all set up. These people that they have queued up for you already are who the experts' combined consensus rankings would take. By all means, you don't have to take them in that order. If you want to get a great score on Fantasy Pros, take them in that order. But the score at the end of it is kind of irrelevant. It kind of doesn't take into account everything. So this is just what you got to do. You got to go through it and analyze each player. So I usually like to go heavy running back. I've said in all my videos, I'm usually a running back guy in the first 2 rounds. However, picking from the 11th position in a full-point PPR league, the top, stud 4 running backs are going to be off the board. There's nothing wrong with going heavy wide receiver. I'm not going to reach for a running back when, there's a top-tier wide receiver available. Don't lock yourself into one position in a round. I mean, if you do that, you're going to end up passing on some potential studs, and it's just not worth it. So right now, best receivers available, we got Odell, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, and A.J. Green. I like all those guys this year. And they're kind of in the order that I would rank them, Odell, Thomas, Allen, and Green. For a PPR league, Keenan Allen has produced huge numbers in the past PPR. He's a huge PPR stud. Michael Thomas. Last year Michael Thomas was was amazing out in New Orleans. But there's just something about Odell Beckham. He's that game changer. He's got less competition on his team for targets. He'll only have pretty much Sterling Shepard there as of right now with Evan Ingram. Ingram and Shepard are good enough to pull away some of that double coverage from Odell, and he can take a 10-yard slant and turn it into an 80-yard touchdown. Now, I know Michael Thomas and Keenan Allen could probably do the same thing, but Odell Beckham was just a special player. Michael Thomas, I had Michael Thomas on a lot of my leagues last year. He saved me a lot of weeks, and he's going to be heavily targeted. But they did just add Cameron Meredith, who is a very solid wide receiver. They brought back Ben Watson, which is kind of sneaky. Ben Watson was there a few years back and produced great numbers in New Orleans. So don't sleep on Ben Watson. He's already got the chemistry with Drew Brees. Keenan Allen, another guy. He's going to have a lot of people to compete with. You got Mike Williams coming back. Tyrell Williams still there. Hunter Henry is going to be emerging this year now that Antonio Gates won't be there. You got, pass-catching backs out of the backfield. He's got a lot of competition in San Diego. A.J. Green, listen, this is my take on A.J. Green. And it's not anything against A.J. Green. I like A.J. Green. But Marvin Lewis is a part of that factor. And for some reason, Marvin Lewis hates us fantasy guys. And every time we think somebody's going to have a great year, they don't. 3 out of the 4 last years, A.J. hasn't had that great of a year. He's had a good year, a solid year, but not an A.J. Green type of year. So for me to invest a first-round pick in him probably isn't going to happen. Being with the options we have available here, to me, it's going to be between Odell and Michael Thomas. I like Odell's upside a little bit more, only being that Thomas is going to have more competition. So right here, number 11 overall, I'm going to be taking Odell Beckham. And here's where we start to have to make decisions. Okay, so you're coming around here to the second pick. You just made a pick at 11, and now you pretty much got 14 coming right back at you. And I've told you I like running backs. There's not a whole lot of them. But we also got Keenan Allen, who is a PPR stud available, along with Devontae Adams, so I can easily see double-digit touchdowns. Mike Evans, not too high on this year. He's just too up and down for me. He's too emotional. He's too erratic. And Jameis Winston throws almost as many balls to the opponents as he does his own teammates. So to me right now it's between Keenan Allen and Leonard Fournette. I'll scroll down a little bit here so you can see some of the other names. I do like Dalvin Cook. He's available. He should have a pass-catching role there in Minnesota. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, that's all he's going to do is catch passes, but there's no way I'm taking him this early. Does that mean that he couldn't produce top 10 to 15 numbers? Yeah, he could. And I'm not going to have a pick for a while. But if it's up to me, even though it's PPR, and I know what some of you guys are thinking, Leonard Fournette doesn't catch a lot of passes, but I don't want to have to wait all these picks coming up to get my number one running back. So I'm going to go with who I have as my highest ranked running back left on the board here, and I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette. Great touchdown upside, improved offensive line. They're going to be moving the ball. They got weapons on the outside for Blake Bortles. I mean, it's going to be a good offense in Jacksonville. Leonard Fournette's going to have a great year just like last year. Going Leonard Fournette. And now we wait for a lot of picks. And now we come back up and we scroll back down just so we don't see who they tell us to choose. Not going quarterback yet. I don't go quarterback early. Quarterback we're going to wait on probably to at least round 6, maybe 7. So we got Jordan Howard, Kenyon Drake, Joe Mixon, Alshon Jeffrey, Demaryius Thomas, Josh Gordon, Allen Robinson. This is where it gets tricky. You kind of got to look at a little bit of upside. Do you want to go with running back and take somebody like a Joe Mixon or a Jordan Howard? I like the upside of Joe Mixon this year. I think the kid could totally break out. I had him in one of my previous episodes as a breakout candidate. He's got all the tools. It's just a risk. And if you want to take that risk or not, right now is the time you'd have to take it. Jordan Howard, I think, is going to get a large workload. He's probably going to get close to 20 touches a game. When the weather gets bad in Chicago, what do? They lean on the run more. He'll get the goal line carries. It's an improved offense there with the weapons on the outside with Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel. Don't sleep on Trey Burton. Improved offense overall in Chicago. They could surprise some people. And if they're moving the ball, Jordan Howard's getting more opportunities. That's a legit option right there. On the wide receiver side, Alshon Jeffrey, not much of a PPR guy, more of a big play guy. Going to see him right around 60 to 70 receptions, probably right around a handful of touchdowns. Demaryius Thomas is intriguing. Demaryius Thomas has been in quarterback, disarray for years since Peyton Manning left Denver. Case Keenum's going to be a huge upgrade for Demaryius Thomas. Only thing with Denver is another team with a lot of weapons. Right now, Emmanuel Sanders is still there. They just drafted Cortland Sutton. Deshaun Hamilton is there. Don't really know how all that's going to play out now until the preseason is here. But Demaryius Thomas has the potential to go out there and get you to 80 to 90, maybe 95 catches this year with, the big body touchdown upside. I like Demaryius Thomas a lot this year. I like him a lot, but I've told you guys in the past, I'm a running back guy. And to me, there's not one of these wide receivers that is head and shoulders above a few of these guys coming up on the list. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to running back. I'm going with Jordan Howard. That will give me Jordan Howard and Leonard Fournette right off the bat. I'm getting about 40 touches a week between those two players. That's great, especially in deep leagues like this. You can't score points if you don't get the touches. So I'm going Jordan Howard. Coming right back to us. And it's great. I mean, we were just sitting here debating between Demaryius Thomas and Jordan Howard and which one to go, and I told you I like both of them. Demaryius Thomas is still available. Somebody that we could pick up right now as our number 2 wide receiver with the high upside. Josh Gordon, not totally buying into. They have 412 wide receivers on the roster in Cleveland. Allen Robinson, not going to pair up another Bear. I don't like to have too many people from the same team in my starting roster. Brandon Cooks, he's a home run threat, but I don't think he's going to catch a ton of balls. Juju, I would have gone Juju right here before the draft. But, they brought in James Washington. I don't expect him to have a huge role, but he's going to take away a few of the targets that Juju was going to get. So, yeah, Demaryius Thomas to me is my clear pick. Upgraded quarterback there with Case Keenum. going to Marius Thomas. And we wait again. All right, so now we're in the 5th round, 59th pick overall. And we've got our 2 running backs and our 2 wide receivers set, which is highly recommended between the first 4 to 5 rounds. Make sure you have them covered. And this is where you can kind of see that the tight ends have, started to fall off. I mean, it's done fallen. Okay, people have taken their tight ends by now. The only options we have is Evan Ingram, which is the 4th rated tight end. And then we jump all the way down to number 10, Jack Doyle, making his first 2018 appearance. And then, you get some people who are ranked a little lower, some of which I like. So I just said about how I don't like to have too many people from the same team in my starting roster. I may do a quarterback and a running back or a quarterback and a receiver, but I'm not going to be doing a running back and a receiver from the same team. So I'm not going to be matching up Evan Ingram with Odell Beckham. That's just too much from one team. If they have a bad week, you're in some trouble. So I'm going to wait on tight end. I'm going to wait there a little bit, seeing that a lot of people have already taken tight ends. A few of these guys are probably going to last for a couple rounds. We got a couple flex spots we need to fill. They're always important. Don't forget about your flex spots. They shouldn't be the last spots you fill. So going back to our running back and wide receiver spots, what do we got left here? We got Jay Ajayi, Deion Lewis, Duke Johnson, Chris Thompson, Darius Geis, Rashad Penny, and the list goes on. Wide receivers, Michael Crabtree, Marvin Jones, Robert Woods, Pierre Garçon, Sammy Watkins, and the unemployed Des Bryant here so far. Now, to me, this is a full-point PPR league, right? We need to get the receptions. Is there a receiver here that jumps off the page to me? No, not really. I like Marvin Jones, Robert Woods, and Pierre Garçon. Sammy Watkins is a little bit of a wild card for me. I like Sammy. I just don't know how they're going to use him yet. So it kind of worries me. Jay Ajayi, I'm not off the Jay Ajayi bandwagon. Jay Ajayi has great potential this year. He's just not going to catch very many passes. They still got Corey Clement. And, yes, I made it another show saying Wendell Smallwood. Amazing. So they got options in Philly. Jay Ajayi will get all the early down work and all the goal line, which is a plus. Deion Lewis paired up there with Derrick Henry in Tennessee. He's going to see some work, but I don't know if he's going to see enough work. Duke Johnson last year was a great asset in PPR. He lined up probably more times in the slot than the backfield, but they've got more weapons in Cleveland now, so he's not going to be doing that as much. I'm expecting a little bit of regression there for Duke Johnson. Chris Thompson, love Chris Thompson. They just drafted Darius Geis, who's capable of, catching passes out of the backfield. And as of right now, they still have P. Ryan and Rob Kelly. I don't expect them to all be there, but just the fact that it's so crowded, not totally huge on Chris Thompson. Darius Geis right here. He'll get a lot of the early down work. I'm sure he'll end up winning that job. Same with Rashad Penny. He should see all 3 downs in Seattle, but combined, Washington and Seattle, 2 of the worst offensive lines in football. And if you have a running back behind a horrible offensive line, it's more headache than anything. So I'm going to pass on them. Lamar Miller is intriguing to me. I know Lamar Miller burned a lot of people last year, but with Deshaun Watson's coming back and he's healthy, Lamar Miller could be a great option if they can move the ball, which they could with DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, Deshaun Watson, and Miller could benefit from that. And then there's other few rookies here coming up pretty soon that I like also, but we'll talk about them. So going back to what we're going to do for our flex play, I'm going to split this up. I think I'm going to go with 1 wide receiver and 1 running back. That way it gives us a little bit of depth for each position. And, there's not 2 of either position that I'm really wanting to reach and get. Jay Ajayi has done it before, right? He's been an RB1 before. He's not going to break away speed at all. Like I could probably catch Jay Ajayi, and I'm old and out of shape. But I can give him a run for it. But he's going to get early down work in a top offense in Philly. And when he got a few opportunities last year, he was averaging about 5 yards a carry, which is great. He's going to get all the goal line touches and get all the early down work on a great offense. I'm going to go Jay Ajayi as one of my flexes. And then we come back, told you I was going to split it. So now we're going with wide receiver in the other one. We got Michael Crabtree in Baltimore. Baltimore is pretty much where wide receivers go to die, not named Steve Smith. And now that Steve Smith is retired, I don't know what's happened to the Baltimore passing game. It's just crumbled. I mean, they used to throw more than any team in football. Now, I don't know. They got boring in Baltimore. And Crabtree, yeah, he'll be a red zone threat, but I don't see a whole lot of catches throughout the year for him. Marvin Jones, he was heavily targeted last year by Matthew Stafford. I do expect Kenny Galladay to take a step forward, so that may take a little bit away from Marvin Jones. Robert Woods, he was probably Goff's favorite target last year. They did just get Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is more of a deep ball home run specialist. Don't expect him to take a ton away from Robert Woods. So I do still like Robert Woods. Only thing with that is such a great offense in LA with an awesome defense. They could be running a lot more in the second half, limiting Woods' opportunities. Pierre Garçon, to me, Pierre Garçon is a great choice. I know a lot of people are hating on Pierre Garçon right now, and I get it. I mean, he seems like he's been around forever, but he's going into a situation in an offense where his coaching staff heavily involves him in the game plan. He got hurt at the end of last year, didn't get a whole lot of opportunity with Jimmy G, not Jimmy Graham. He doesn't play quarterback, only tight end. But Jimmy G, coming into his second, year in San Francisco, a full year, time in the offseason to work on the chemistry. Pierre Garçon's a great possession receiver that they could have in San Francisco that could rack up a ton of catches. May not get a ton of yardage, but could get a ton of catches. I can see him getting somewhere between 80 to 90 balls this year. And if that's the case, he's our number 3 wide receiver and our second flex in a deep league. I'm going with Pierre Garçon. All right, now we're all the way in the 7th round, 83rd pick overall, and now is the time that you go quarterback. Okay, there's a lot of quarterbacks this year. You could even wait longer if you wanted. It really depends who falls to you at this point. Being that Kirk Cousins is still sitting there, the 83rd pick overall. Right now, his expert consensus ranking is 76th overall. I love Kirk Cousins. To me, he is a very safe play at quarterback this year. He may not go out and have the huge games of the Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that, but he's going to get you a consistent, right around 20-plus points a week. Great offense. He's got Diggs, Thielen, Dalvin Cook to run the ball, great offensive line, good defense, great overall team in Minnesota. Don't sleep on Kyle Rudolph either. In the red zone, Kirk Cousins is going to be a solid pick for our team. Somebody who's going to be, consistent for us. We're not going to have to worry about the matchup every week. You can plug Kirk Cousins in and not have a problem. So right now, going quarterback with Kirk Cousins. All right. Now, this is where you can make a couple different decisions. Do you want to fill your tight end spot, or do you want to start working on some of your bench spots? It really depends who's available. If there's a stud available that you can take, but you don't need him in your starting lineup, take him, put him on your bench for depth. Don't reach. Don't ever reach for somebody if there's somebody that you really want. So let's look down here at the list. Sterling Shepard, already have Odell, so not going to pair him up there. Robbie Anderson, number 1 in New York, but he's got a little bit of off-the-field issues. We don't really know what's going to go on with that. Nelson Aguilar, not going to be a huge PPR stud. Marquise Lee is great. He's just injury-prone. Kelvin Benjamin, no thank you. Marquise Goodwin, already have Pierre Garçon. Already talked about Chris Thompson, Darius Geis, Lamar Miller, Tevin Coleman, Marlon Mack. Royce Freeman is somebody that I really do like. I love Royce Freeman this year. He could be a 3-down workhorse and turn into a very pleasant surprise for a lot of fantasy owners this year. So I do like Royce Freeman, and I would like to have Royce Freeman. Here's the issue we're going to come to, though. We got one more pick here coming after our Kirk Cousins pick, and then we're going to have to wait a while. So if we wait a while, we're going to be stuck with some of the lower-end tight ends here. I do love Trey Burton in Chicago. I know we already have Jordan Howard, and I don't know if I really want to pair him up with that. Jordan Reed, if he's healthy, could have a bounce-back year with Alex Smith, who's used to targeting the tight end. Look what Kelsey's done. Likes his tight end, so Jordan Reed could be a great option. Tyler Eifert, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. George Kittle, I like George Kittle. We got Pierre Garçon already. O.J. Howard, I don't even like him as much as Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate's got all the looks from Jameis Winston. David Njoku is intriguing. Jack Doyle. Jack motherfucking Doyle. I love Jack Doyle. I preached Jack Doyle every week last year, I think. And I was going to do the same thing this week. And then they went out and signed Eric Ebron. And Eric Ebron just has a tendency to ruin everything. Potential, upside, whatever it is, he ruins it. Do I think Jack Doyle loses his job to Eric Ebron? No. But look what kind of happened with Jack Doyle before when Dwayne Allen was in town. It's just going to be split. It sounds like Andrew Luck's coming back, and Andrew Luck likes to use 2 tight ends. Plus, they're going to want that extra body there on the line to help pass block. So I'm not as high on these guys this year. Now, one thing I may try to do, and we can try it here since it's just a mock draft, and we can see how it turns out. Jordan Reed's upside is huge. I mean, just a few years back, this dude was one of the top tight ends in football. He just can't stay healthy. So what we're going to do is we're going to draft Jordan Reed right here. And we're going to put him – it's going to automatically put him into our starting lineup. And let's just see what happens with it. And we wait again. So now that we did that, Royce Freeman's still available. Okay, that's a great sign. We can probably grab Royce right now if we want to. And what I was wanting to see is what tight ends are available again, because you can't just draft Jordan Reed and be happy about it. You need to have a plan B. I mean, you need to have a solid plan B. I love Trey Burton, and I love George Kittle, but I know we've already paired them up. Now, there's not a whole lot of other options here unless we wait for Ben Watson, who could be sneaky good this year, or we could go with the upside of David Njoku. All guys that I like right now. Being that there's a few guys a little bit later on that we could plug and play with, I'm going to start off with a few bench spots, and we'll go back to tight end here in a minute. Royce Freeman, I already talked about him, could have the potential for a huge year. I'm going to be targeting Royce Freeman heavily in a lot of my drafts this year, getting him at the 107th overall pick. I mean, people are taking him as early as 49th overall. We're getting him at 107, great value. He'll be, our RB4 on our team, and if he turns out, could be a weekly starter at one of our flex spots, going Royce Freeman. All right, what do we got available now? Josh Doxson. I do like him a little bit better now that Alex Smith is in town, but we don't know who Alex Smith is going to fall in love with yet. It could be Jamison Crowder. If that's the case, Doxson could turn into, one of those secondary roles that's not going to get you a ton of points. Deshaun Jackson, boomer bust, just like usual. Kenny Stills, Martavis Bryant, Mohamed Sanu, DJ Moore, possibly even one of the rookies, Calvin Ridley. Both guys I'm looking at right now. As far as running backs, Tariq Cohen, we could have him as a handcuff to Jordan Howard, but he's not one of those 3-down workhorses that we'd like. Jamal Williams probably won't even win the job in Green Bay. C.J. Anderson. C.J. Anderson's being slept on by a lot of people. I mean, look what Jonathan Stewart did here in Carolina. C.J. Anderson's better than Jonathan Stewart. And plus we'd get him as our number 5. But let's go down here and see what we got for tight end first, see if all of our guys are still here. And, yeah, it looks like it. Like Jack Doyle's still available. So being that we got a few guys left here, we're going to stick up here with our bread and butter. Being that we just got a running back, let's switch it up. Let's get ourselves another wide receiver. You can never have too much depth. And I'm going to go young. I'm going to look for a high upside pick here. Since we already have Odell, Demaryius Thomas, and Pierre Garçon, 3 solid wide receivers, let's try to hit a lottery ticket or hit a home run here with either DJ Moore or Calvin Ridley. If you ask me who I like more, it's DJ Moore. More. I like DJ Moore better. However, I think DJ Moore is going to kind of get lost in the shuffle at times in Carolina between McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore. I don't think he's going to be consistent. He's going to have great weeks. He's going to have off weeks. And if you don't pick him right, it's going to do nothing but cause you gray hair and hair loss. Calvin Ridley, didn't like Calvin Ridley a whole lot pre-draft, but being that he fell into Atlanta opposite of Julio Jones, you should see a lot of single coverage. I like Calvin Ridley with a lot of single coverage. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go away from my hometown boy here in Carolina and not take DJ Moore, and I'm going to go with Calvin Ridley as a high upside pick here for our team. So now we got our 2 rookies on the bench trying to find that lottery ticket. Didn't take him real early, but we got him early enough to where we can, didn't have to invest a whole lot of draft capital in him. Now we can go back, make sure our tight ends are still there. Always keep track of it, and some of them have come off the board. So you got O.J. Howard, Eric Ebron, and David Njoku with Cameron Brate. David Njoku is very intriguing to me. I think he would have had a lot greater year last year had Deshaun Kaiser not throwing every pass 15 feet over his head. The dude's a freak in nature athletically. It's somebody who we could put in there week 1 if we need to, if Jordan Reed is hurt. But you guys got to remember, if Jordan Reed turns out, this lineup is scary good. Okay, but we need a little bit of insurance, and there's going to be some guys that even go undrafted, to where if Njoku doesn't pan out, you'll be able to go pick somebody else up. But I like the upside of Njoku, so I'm going David Njoku. And now you can kind of see how I've built it. We got our main starting lineup built. We've got one of each on the bench: running back, wide receiver, tight end. I do want to make sure that I have solid backups at all positions. I've talked about numerous videos of Jimmy G. I'm a huge fan of Jimmy G. I think he's going to have a great year. His weapons are undervalued in San Francisco, to say the least. Dante Pettis is a lot better than a lot of people realize. You still have Marquise Goodwin, and we already got Pierre Garçon. I do want a backup quarterback. For all those guys last year that took Aaron Rodgers or something like that, and you didn't have a backup, it hurt. And especially in deeper leagues like this, there's going to be more quarterbacks taken than usual. Could you wait for one of these guys here at the end? Yeah, absolutely. But here's what we're going to look at. If there's a solid running back or wide receiver that we want, we'll take him here and we'll pass on quarterback and get one later. If there's not here, I'm looking to get another one of these top 10 to 15 quarterbacks and kind of hang on to them. There's going to be somebody in your league who doesn't take 2 quarterbacks, and that quarterback's going to get hurt, and you're going to have trade value out the yin-yang, all right? So if there's somebody that's available that is a surefire bet, you need to take them to solidify your roster, take them. If you don't need them, and I think right now we're pretty solid overall, we're going to take another quarterback and the upside of Jimmy G. So we're going to put Jimmy G on our squad here. And we got a little bit of Kirk Cousins insurance. Okay, you've already seen some people. They're already starting to take some of the defenses down there. Actually, Jacksonville, which isn't surprising. People are going to reach for Jacksonville this year. I like the Rams and I like the Chargers, though, a lot. I didn't see the Chargers. Oh, yeah, they're here. Rams and Chargers both. I would probably take both of them just as much as I take Jacksonville, as much as I like Jacksonville. Now, in larger leagues like this, and especially in your home leagues, you'll know kind of what to do based off of the drafts that the people you're drafting with. You kind of know their tendencies a little bit. Right here, again, look, see what you got, what's available. DeMarco Murray, pass. Doug Martin, way pass. Corey Clement, I like, but we already got Ajayi, and I don't need to handcuff my RB3. Peyton Manning, no, or Peyton Manning. That'd be impressive if he was a running back, but he's still retired. So Peyton Barber, we'll go with him. That ain't going to happen. Like Naheem Hines, Marlon Mack is still there. Abdullah Blunt, I mean, none of those guys are jumping off the page to me. Wide receiver, we already grabbed Ridley. Do we want to take a chance on another rookie wide receiver? Probably not another one. Cameron Meredith, I do like. Let's bring up Cameron Meredith. Now, with Mark Ingram being hurt, he'll be out for 4 games. They haven't signed another running back yet. A lot of attention is going to be on Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. And Cameron Meredith, if you guys remember last year, had like off-the-chart potential, draft hype like crazy. And he came out and he's got it. I mean, he is capable of being a wide receiver 1 on a lot of teams. And now he's the number 2 in an offense that's still led by Drew Brees, still able to throw it. And with all that attention going to Thomas and Kamara, I think Meredith could benefit from it. So instead of reaching for a defense right now, I'm going to take a shot in the dark on a proven receiver who has proven that he's capable of putting up big numbers in the past. I'm going to put him in there and give us a little bit more wide receiver depth. And now that we just came here to the turn, I'm going to do it around early. A lot of people, you don't have to, but I usually take a defense around early just so I can pick the one that I want if there's one that's elite enough to take. You got the Vikings, Rams, Eagles, and Chargers. The Rams defense is the one that's talked up by everybody. I mean, they got all the offseason acquisitions. I'm sure they'll be, one of the top leaders in sacks, interceptions. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. but don't sleep on the Chargers either. They have arguably the best secondary in all of football, and they still got Bosa and Ingram to rush the passer. Plenty of opportunity for sacks, interceptions. I love the Chargers this year. I like the Chargers a lot. And you can kind of see they're close to the Rams. I mean, they're right there in the 133 to 138, the best they've been taken. Right now we're at 158. So I do. I like both these teams. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with the Rams, though. I mean, with Sue and Donald up front, they're just an overall squad. They got, all three levels covered. I'm going with the Rams. Never take a kicker early. That's one thing I never do. Last round, always kicker. So now we're coming back and looking for our last bench spot. Man, nobody likes DJ Moore in this draft. Nobody knows. Running backs is kind of what we need another one of. Right now we have 5 receivers already. We only have 4 running backs, so let's try to make that even. Let's get 5 of each. Make sure we're covered. DeMarco Murray, not even on a team. Buck Allen, no thank you, Uncle Buck. Eckler is intriguing only because of Melvin Gordon's injury proneness. Spencer Ware is also intriguing. All that attention being paid to Kareem Hunt. Spencer Ware is a very reliable running back, and I would arguably say probably one of the most important handcuffs right now in all of football. If you're the Kareem Hunt owner, I would also suggest taking Spencer Ware with one of these last picks just to be safe. But, I mean, I don't expect a whole lot unless, something happens to Hunt. But like I said, he's a huge upside play. If Hunt goes down, you have yourself an RB1 in Kansas City. So being that we don't need anything, we have no pressing needs on this team, I'm going to go ahead and take Spencer Ware here and give myself a little bit of maybe future trade bait or a solid running back. Lastly, kicker time. We got the Rams defense, but Justin Tucker can kick him from like 112 yards. So try to get, one of these top guys, get Zerline, Tucker. I mean, they're all the top kickers. I like Will Lutz a lot in New Orleans also. It's a kicker. Just pick the best one they got. And then we'll see what our score is, see if they liked it or not. And I don't care if they liked it. 84 out of 100. It ain't bad. But, I mean, if you look at the roster, it's stacked from top to bottom. All positions are covered. Kirk Cousins, Leonard Fournette, Jordan Howard, Odell Beckham Jr., Demaryius Thomas, Jordan Reed, Jay Ajayi, Pierre Garçon, the Rams and Tucker. Then we got Royce Freeman and Calvin Ridley as our upside on the bench, with Njoku also high upside. Put him in there if, Reed's not ready to go. Jimmy G, we got our Kirk Cousins insurance, and then the upside of Cameron Meredith and Spencer Ware. I'd be overall way happy with this team. Make sure you guys let me know down below if you were tracking it as we were going. If you would have made a different pick, let me know. Let's talk about it. And looking forward to hearing from you. Enjoy doing these mock drafts. If you want me to cover something that you guys do for your own personal league, let me know. I'll get it set up. We'll queue it up for you, and we'll walk through it. Really appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys are liking, commenting, subscribing, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks.